Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast. We cover everything Major League, from spring training to the World Series. We've got your favorite club covered, from New York to Boston to LA. This is the Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast.
Welcome into another edition of the GSMC Baseball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Kevin Mahalik. It's Monday, December 28th. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. It was the Christmas holiday this past week. Hopefully everybody out there had a fantastic and safe and healthy holiday week there, whether you got together with close family, friends, or just stayed at home and Zoomed and FaceTime, because I know friends who did a mix of all the above. So some people traveled, got together, but didn't extend outside of immediate family. Some people were traveling with negative COVID results, and then others just kind of hung out to themselves and their immediate family, and so on and so forth. So hopefully you guys out there are staying healthy, staying safe, and Santa was good to all you kids listening out there. Of course, I have a soon-to-be 3-year-old, so this year was a lot of fun, but she just loved opening the gifts. You know, it wasn't what exactly was in the present until all of the gifts were open. So she would open it, on to the next one, and then when they were finally all open, it was pretty much like, oh, okay, cool. Now what did I get? Now what are we going to play with? And an Elsa castle from Frozen. Fisher-Price, I believe it is, the Little People series, has a Elsa castle that makes some noise and does a few other things. That was certainly a big hit in the house, as well as a piano. You know, one of those you run around and it makes noise. That one's going to, certainly be on a time limit for the sanity of myself, but was a lot of fun to see her enjoy the holidays. So hopefully you guys out there had similar experiences, had positive experiences over the past week here, but we're going to only have one episode for myself this week once again, normally coming to you guys Monday, Thursday, Thursday being the New Year's holiday. This will be the only show from myself this week, and then next week, once 2021 commences, we'll be back to our regularly scheduled programming. But here for today's episode, I wanted to have a bit of fun, kind of stay on the holiday theme. And because of this, I put together a wish list, or a Christmas list, for all the teams out there, and basically what they should have asked Santa for this past week to deliver for them in accordance to have a particularly solid 2021. So we'll go around the league here briefly. Some of these are players. Some of them are, things I made up that don't exist. Some are, lame movie references. But we're going to have a good time here, and you guys will certainly understand as we get rolling. But starting out in the American League East, the Toronto Blue Jays, I put down a corner infielder for them. Of course, they need somebody to pair with Vlad Guerrero Jr., they tried him at third base. Doesn't look like it's going to work there long term. So if Santa could drop them a third baseman, they would certainly like that. Next, we have the Baltimore Orioles. They needed to ask Santa for a time machine, because they pretty much have to fast forward the next couple of years until they're getting anywhere close to relevance. Because, they're in the middle of a rebuild, and, hopefully they're not like the Phillies and struggle through, and more so like the White Sox, Padres, and the likes, who have done it successfully. But if you're an Orioles fan, you're going to want a time travel device to just hop into 2022 when your club may have a shot at contending. The Tampa Bay Rays, I asked for offensive depth. I watched the World Series, and is anybody going to help Randy Arozarena? If there's any offensive, ability beyond that one, they may win that series. So certainly somebody to help out Arozarena is on the wish list. For the Boston Red Sox, I have 2018 championship gear, because unfortunately things are not looking up in Boston anytime soon, in my opinion. So if you're a fan or if you're on the team, you're going to want to take a trip down memory lane and relive that 2018 season by adding new gear to the collection for the house. The New York Yankees, it's DJ LeMahieu. You know, you're going to want to bring him back. He's one of the biggest free agents. He was good for them. So no fun and games there for the AL East with the Yankees. But bring them back, DJ LeMahieu. Santa Claus and all Yankees fans will be happy out there. Next for you Indians fans, we got 2 starters, 2 relievers, and 2 prospects for Francisco Lindor. That's right, of course. All the experts say he is going to be moved this offseason, so why not ask for the world? Give me a couple of starters, couple of relievers, couple of prospects, and yeah, we're good to go. So, of course, Santa may not always deliver exactly what you're asking for. You know, you don't always get what you want, but you get what you need, according to the Rolling Stones. So be wary of that, you Indians fans. Next up, we got the Royals. I put together a 2015 montage of the best from that season. That was the last season they won the series, of course, and now it's going to be a long summer once again in Kansas City, and I don't see them turning it around really anytime sooner than later here. So we have the Detroit Tigers. I asked for an entire new lineup. I'm sorry. That offense up there, not a ton of professional hitters. I mean, the pitching is coming. They've drafted it. They did draft bats early in the draft, Spencer Torkelson. So the cavalry is on the way, but it's going to take some time. And they're going to need professional hitters and professional at-bats, certainly between now and then. For the Minnesota Twins, I have Pixie Health Dust. I mean, these guys can't stay healthy up there in Minnesota. Health for Josh Donaldson, Byron Buxton. I mean, those guys are always down. Who knows with some free agents hitting the market? You know, they really couldn't afford to lose those guys if Cruz or, Rosario both end up walking. So they're going to need some fairy tale pixie health dust to sprinkle into everybody's water this year to make sure everybody stays healthy. The Chicago White Sox, they just need a good vibes machine. I mean, they got a new manager, traded for Lance Lynn, got a good ball club coming back, should take the next step, but certainly have to make it all come together, right? I mean, a lot of teams out there that we've seen have the pieces, but aren't able to put it all together. So, you know, there in Chicago, Tony La Russa, of course, out of retirement. We talked about that a few episodes back. If you guys want to listen to it, just kind of scroll there to the pre-logged episodes. But if La Russa can get that good vibes machine going, keep the good times rolling in Chicago, I don't see why this team up there couldn't win 100 games and contend to potentially be the best team in the American League this year. So out to the AL West for the Angels. I got urgency pills. You know, I want to do my best Mugatu from Zoolander, right? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Well, I feel like everybody in the Angels organization needs to take some urgency pills because Mike Trout, still in his prime, getting older year by year here, right? That's, not news to anybody, but they haven't won a playoff game during his time there in Anaheim. And, of course, he has years and millions left on that contract. But, hey, can I get a bit of urgency from you guys? Because the best player, potentially, arguably in the history of baseball, is how many years into his career now and hasn't, tasted the sweet success of the playoffs. And I myself, as a biased East Coast fan who doesn't get to see a ton of Angels games during the regular season, I want to see this guy. So if we could please make the playoffs and allow him prime time to get, the attention he deserves, let's get some urgency pills up here in Anaheim. So for the Oakland A's, it's health for Matt Chapman. I mean, he lost a good portion of his 2020 season. So, really for them and, maybe some economic restructuring out there in Oakland. But keeping Chapman healthy is going to be the biggest thing for them. For the Houston Astros, I have a copy of the Last Dance DVD set because this year is pretty much going to be the last ride for them. I mean, after this year losing Springer, it seems to be. Next year it's into Correa, Altuve, but the band is slowly dispersing down there from Houston. So one Last Dance DVD set could be the theme of their year here in 2021. For the Seattle Mariners, I have excitement alarms. I mean, all fans need to get alarms. You guys, you need to be aware. Kyle Lewis, there's some good things happening up there in the Northwest. So you East Coast fans who aren't paying a ton of attention to the Mariners, good things are happening. Last up, we have the Texas Rangers. They need Joey Gallo to essentially be the MVP this year. So I have MVP juice for Joey Gallo coming to Texas because certainly them rebuilding, that's going to be the only way that, they cruise forward here. So, moving over to the National League, the Braves. I have them getting the Reality Stone from Marvel's Endgame from Thanos. That way they can manipulate the reality of the 3-1 series lead that they blew to the Dodgers last year in the NLCS and can manipulate that into whatever they'd like in order to ultimately get another shot at the Dodgers here coming up in 2021. For the Marlins, we got a big bat. They need somebody offensively in that lineup. That rotation, solid, but they need an offensive weapon to help kind of take that next step. For the Mets here, we have all of the free agents. Unloaded money, unloaded enthusiasm. They have everybody. Can they get Bauer? Can they get Springer? Who else are they in the market for? So I think all of the free agents is pretty much what their fans are writing down for their goals to Santa here. So let's see. The Philadelphia Phillies. I have surprise seasons from people they don't see coming because the writing on the wall, yes, even if they bring JT Realmuto back, I see him as more of a number 3 when it comes to offensive prowess, and I don't know if they have a number 2 right now. So some surprise offensive juggernaut seasons from some guys you didn't see coming is basically what the Phillies are asking for. The Nationals are looking for some arm health, right? They're looking for, some massage oil in the form of health for the right-handed arms of Strasburg and Scherzer to give them a chance here in 2021 to ultimately make a push back to the World Series. Now the National League Central, they need, memory erase pills, or better yet, that flasher from Men in Black, right? And they got to get those to Christian Yelich as soon as possible because he needs to wash 2020 from his memory and jump back into and remember the fact that, hey, I'm an MVP candidate. I'm Christian Yelich. I pretty much dominate and crush baseballs. So if they could just get that flasher from Men in Black, set it to 1 year, give Yelich a nice little picture, he'll be good to go to bounce back. The Cardinals, they're going to want the return of the Jedi, right? The return of the free agents. They got to want Adam Wainwright and Yadier Molina to eventually come back and give it one more shot in St. Louis. So they're asking for the return of the Jedi DVD sets to get those two guys back, hopefully for 2021. The Cubbies, what are they looking for? They want some clarity water. They need to know what's going on in the future. They got some decisions coming on some pretty big free agents. Of course, they already made the one decision on Schwarber, but a few more of those coming down the pike here. So they need some clarity water for all the fans to kind of see what the heck this team is ultimately looking to do moving forward. Next, we got the Pittsburgh Pirates, and they need themselves maturation oils, right? Like they got a bunch of kids. They just made another trade for a few additional prospects, which we're going to talk about here in the next segment of first baseman Josh Bell. Moving on here, so they're banking on these kids, and they need some maturation oils to continue to progress and continue to develop and give the Pirates next window a pretty big shot here. So wrapping up the NL Central, we got the Cincinnati Reds, and they need Eduardo Suarez to pretty much bounce back, right? So they need the return of all of their lost souls offensively. They had a couple of guys start out hot, dip down like Castellanos. Suarez struggled the whole year, so it's certainly a tall task for Cincinnati here in 2021. But wrapping up things now, going to the NL West, we got the Diamondbacks. They're looking for market increases. They need better returns on their investments. Madison Bumgarner, signing him last offseason to a 5-year deal, he struggled. So basically, they're looking for better returns. They're praying for a solid market ROI this year to finally get back to where they think they should be. The Dodgers, they're looking at 2020 reruns. Hey, run it back. Why not, right? So DVD, television reruns, that's cool with LA. They're looking to just run things back one more time. Hey, let's go. Let's do it again. The San Francisco Giants, let's see, the return of Buster Posey. The Giants, they had a nice year in 2020, almost made the playoffs there as the last team with the expanded playoffs. Joey Bart coming up here as well, but getting Buster Posey back is certainly going to be a huge deal if you're a Giants fan. The San Diego Padres, they want a copy of Quantum Leap because ultimately that's what they're looking to take this next year. They did that this past offseason, having the second best record in the National League. But if they can take one more Quantum Leap, they're going to be at the top of the National League and arguably challenging the Dodgers for supremacy there. So the last team on it is the Colorado Rockies, and they're just looking for closure. I mean, they want to know what's going on with Nolan Arenado. Is he staying here? Is he staying here forever? Is he opting out? Are we traded him? What's going on? So Rockies fans are just looking for closure this Christmas season to try to figure out ultimately what the future holds here. But that was the wish list for all the teams in Major League Baseball. I thought that'd be a fun activity with the holidays coming up here, whether it was an actual player or some health pixie dust, whatever it may be. I loved going through that segment with you guys. But that'll do it here for the first segment. What we'll do now is we will step aside for a word from one of our sponsors and one of our sister shows. But when we come back here, we'll get into news, notes, rumors, all the transactions that have taken place, a couple of trades and signees over the past couple of days here. So we'll discuss those and get into it. But I'm your host, Kevin Mahalik. Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll be right back.
This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
Welcome back to segment number 2 of the GSMC Baseball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I appreciate you guys listening in. If you haven't done so yet, please rate and review the podcast. Click that subscribe button. If today's your first episode, welcome. We appreciate it. We're coming at you guys mainly every day with the holidays this week and last week. Of course, things are a bit slower, but starting next week, we'll be back to everyday episodes for you out there. So please rate and review the podcast. Give us 5 stars. Share us with your friends. That continues to help us grow and spread the word for GSMC as we push forward to a better 2021 for us all here. But diving in now to this segment, we're going to talk about news, notes, rumors, everything going on here across Major League Baseball as we are getting close to transitioning the calendar year into 2021. But an interesting signing was made by the Dodgers, and honestly, this is a sign of a well-run franchise, right? When you look at certain things like this where they signed pitcher Tommy Canley to a 2-year, $4.2 million guaranteed deal. And for those of you out there listening to that, you may think, isn't Canley hurt? He's going to miss this entire season? Well, that's exactly what's taking place here, is that the Dodgers know he will spend 2021 recovering from Tommy John surgery. He only faced 6 hitters in 2021 before his arm gave. But if they get the 2019 version of Tommy Canley, they get themselves a very good relief pitcher back, right? Because, this guy's had an interesting story, Canley. He was a Rule 5 pick who, struggled at the big league level. Then he turned into a breakout arm in 2017 with the White Sox. He ended up with the Yankees, where he was known as a dominant reliever. Well, all of a sudden in 2018, he couldn't throw strikes again, had trouble with his velocity. Well, he figured things out in 2019. He was a very good reliever again for the Yankees. And then, like we said, in 2020, only faced 6 hitters before ultimately needing Tommy John surgery. So this is a good bet. This is a good use of resources. This is a good use of assets if you're the Dodgers, because looking at Tommy Canley, in 2019, he had a 49% swing and miss rate on his changeup. He generated over 67 strikeouts with that. A lot of his percentages, 52nd percentile hard hit, 56 exit velocity. So, XW OBA way up there, ERA, batting average, velocity, whiff rate. Like, the guy has fantastic numbers when it comes to a lot of the secondary Sabre metrics. But is he going to be able to come back from Tommy John? I mean, that's certainly a risky bet, but I think it's a good use of $4 million if you're the Dodgers to take a chance on this guy bouncing back for you here in 2022. So we'll have to wait and see, but 2 years essentially saying, hey, come rehab with us. We think you'll bounce back. We think you'll be just fine. Another move that was made, the Pirates traded Josh Bell to the Washington Nationals. The Nationals looking for an upgrade at the first base position. Last year, that was a position that really struggled for them. And honestly, looking at their roster, it looks like 5 of the guys who played first base at one point are now free agents or have decided on retirement, such as Howie Kendrick. So, they got Juan Soto in that lineup. They got Trey Turner in that lineup. But outside of those guys last year, there really wasn't a ton of depth offensively for Washington. So them adding Josh Bell certainly makes a ton of sense. Now, Bell, of course, had a fantastic 2019. He had 37 home runs. He was in the home run derby. He had a fantastic first half to essentially, bounce him into the All-Star game. So he followed that up in 2020 with a below-average season. He had 226 with a 305 on-base percentage, which is below average here. So, what is Josh Bell? He's probably somewhere in between the two. Now, I don't think he's a 40 home run guy or close to it, which you got in 2019, but I don't think he's a 226 hitter either. I don't think he's that low. So you're looking at a guy probably 250s, 260s, giving you 20 to 30 home runs, 80 RBIs, and if offensively, they get that in Washington out of the first base position. That's going to be a huge upgrade to what they got in 2019. I mean, even if he is average, like the 15th best first baseman, that's a big step up from where the Nationals were last year. So the Nationals, of course, with Strasburg and Scherzer, getting up there, Scherzer's deal coming to an end, each one of them getting older. They're in win now mode, and they're not looking for that next window in a couple of years. They're looking to win now, and that certainly aligns with adding Josh Bell for him to come in and improve that offense here. Now, it's also been stated, does this trade affect Zimmerman when it comes to the first base spot? Ryan Zimmerman looking to come back for the Nationals. The ownership came out and said this does not completely close the door on what's going on with Zimmerman. He could still be back, but, he's not going to be the everyday first baseman if that's the case. So we certainly see that Josh Bell will be taking over that role for them moving forward. But who did the Pirates get back in return? They received pitcher Will Crowe, who is a major league level pitcher. He turned 27 this past year, but, he's only pitched all of 8 innings in the major leagues. And, he's untested. Nobody knows what you're going to get, but major league level arm for the Pittsburgh Pirates. They're not going to turn that down as they're essentially looking to get as many lottery tickets as they can to ultimately see who is going to stick around. But they also got minor league pitcher Eddie Yean, Y-E-A-N is his last name. And he is, he's the one who's essentially the prize of the deal if you're Pittsburgh. I mean, he's a well-regarded prospect, pitching prospect. He's now number 7 overall in the Pirates' top 30 when it comes to Major League Baseball. His ETA is, 2023. So we'll just have to wait and see. He's only 19 years old, so it looks like he's a few years away. But Yean is the prize here for Pittsburgh for Bell. So who knows? I like it for Washington, and we'll have to wait and see from Pittsburgh's side. But, you're certainly not winning anything with Bell as your first baseman in this current window. So you might as well take a shot at a few more lottery tickets moving forward here. But let's see. The Rangers signed pitcher Kohei Ariara for a 2-year, $6.2 million deal. Now, this is an interesting deal because certainly in 2021, the Rangers are not looking to be, contenders, and they have some questions on, what they're looking to do moving forward. Ultimately, who is going to be here long term, but they've made some nice moves, below the surface. They traded Lance Lynn, got some prospects back for him. They named Chris Young general manager. They signed outfielder David Dahl. They traded for first baseman Nate Lowe. They also traded reliever Rafael Montero to Seattle. So they've made a ton of moves this offseason, but the addition of Ari Hara, who is a 28-year-old pitcher, he spent the last 6 seasons with the Hokkaido Nippon Ham Fighters. He threw at least 120 innings in each of those 6 seasons, and that's pretty much what the Rangers are looking for. Lance Lynn, he was an innings eater in that rotation, and without him, things are a bit thin. Kyle Gibson still down there, but he struggled last year with a 5+ ERA. Let's see here. Ari Hara, his velocity reportedly is right at about 92. He works with about 7 different pitches, according to the scouting report. So it'll be interesting to see. He's not going to overwhelm anybody with his velocity, but the ability to manipulate different pitches. And I believe it was recently Pitching Ninja on Twitter spoke about how Yu Darvish threw 11 different pitches this past offseason or this past season when it came to the entire season. So the use of 7 pitches for Ari Hara, not out of the realm of possibilities when it comes to next year. But that's it for the actual transactions. Let's talk now some rumors. Here, let's see what's going on across the holiday season with baseball. One of the recent ones that came out that was interesting was that the Dodgers are in the Trevor Bauer and DJ LeMahieu sweepstakes. Trevor Bauer has talked about that he is not opposed to a short-term deal compared to a long-term deal. He's looking at best fits, ultimately, big-time picture type stuff. So getting a short-term deal out in L.A. with the Dodgers would certainly align with Bauer's needs. It's just a matter of would he fit out in that locker room? Would people welcome him? Kind of what the deal is ultimately. But I do think Bauer to the Dodgers would be fascinating. I don't see it happening, but I do think the Dodgers are playing a bit of cat and mouse potentially with the likes of the Mets to drive up the price of Bauer to continue to, years, terms, and play that game to get him on the East Coast and out of the National League West as well. But DJ LeMahieu potentially going to the Dodgers, that would be fascinating, of course, because these guys are going to get about the same average annual value, in my opinion. Bauer may be a bit above LeMahieu, since arms tend to get a bit more than bats, but give or take $20 million potentially on both these guys per year moving forward. So what would the Dodgers do with LeMahieu? Well, LeMahieu could play third base if they don't re-sign Justin Turner, or they could put him at second base and move Gavin Lux into a bit of a utility role. So LeMahieu, he likes the professional environment, the winning environment. He liked his time in New York. Well, he would certainly get that again out in L.A. It's a great run organization, so they're going to get positive experiences there if that's the way he wants to go. Next up, we have the Red Sox are showing, quote, strong interest in Enrique Hernandez, a free agent utility man. Boston has 3 guys already penciled in to see who's going to win the second base job. Hernandez could come right in there and win that position. He's been linked to the Twins as well. Would be their primary second baseman, so he could play a bit of an outfield. Hernandez's career slash line of .240 over 7 seasons, 6 of which came with the Dodgers. Kiki Hernandez. So the Boston Red Sox looking to potentially add World Series champion Kiki Hernandez and make a move here. So he played for Alex Cora, who was the manager of the Puerto Rico team for the 2017 World Baseball Classic. So he's played for Alex Cora before, has that connection, and if he enjoyed his time playing for Cora, I certainly see that as a benefit to potentially bring him back and see what the move is. So let's see here. Kim. Oh, here's a good one. Hae-Sung Kim, who we talked about, the free agent shortstop from the Korea, is fielding multiple 5-year offers, according to ESPN KBO insider Daniel Kim. So Hae-Sung Kim has multiple 5+ years. That would be certainly at the top end of the international market for an offensive guy. But Kim could potentially be worth it. We did a segment on him a few episodes back. Again, if you guys are new here, check those out. We dove into some projections from Zips, ultimately which way they think he could play out here over the course of his major league career. And they think he's going to be an above-average shortstop. So his career batting average, .306, 30 home runs, 23 stolen bases, and 109 RBIs are his averages per year. So we shall see. And man, I don't know where he's going to end up. A lot of people are talking about the West Coast, the San Francisco Giants, but an outside chance he ends up down there with the Rangers as well. Could it be the Blue Jays, the Reds, the Cardinals? A lot of people are talking about some mystery teams, but we have until January 1st, until the post date clears, to find out ultimately which way Kim's going to go. Next up, we have Yu Darvish. He's recently emerged as a potential trade candidate. He's coming off, obviously, a second-place finish for the Cy Young Award. And I don't know. Yeah, the Padres seem to be identified as a potential spot. A.J. Preller knows Darvish well from their time together with the Rangers. It says San Diego has high-end prospects that the Cubs could be looking for in return for Darvish. So, man, it would be interesting to see. Obviously, San Diego lost Clevinger to an injury this year. Dinelson Lamet, Chris Paddock, Zach Davies have all dealt with injuries during their careers. So Lance Lynn being off the board, the Padres may turn their attention to Yu Darvish, and that would certainly be a surprise when it comes to the offseason. But last thing here, the Phillies have extended an offer to JT Realmuto, according to MLB Network insider John Heyman. He also states that JT has received offers from other unknown baseball teams as well. So the Phillies are not the only team to have an offer into Realmuto, but it is nice to see that they at least put an offer in and are trying to make this work after giving up Sixto Sanchez to bring Realmuto to town. But that'll do it here for the second segment. You know, not a ton of news and notes going on across Major League Baseball. A few signings, one trade to discuss there. So I certainly appreciate you guys tuning in. But we'll step aside here one more time for a word from one of our sponsors and a word from our sister show. But when we come back, we're going to give you guys an update on how the Hall of Fame ballots are going. And we're going to have a bit of fun talking about uniforms, like an ugly Christmas sweater type vibe. What are the ugliest uniforms ever worn out there? So let me know what you're thinking about in the comments. We'll be right back.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back to the third segment of the GSMC Baseball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Kevin Mahalik. Appreciate you guys listening in today. If you haven't done so yet, check us out on social media. Head to Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. Follow GSMC Baseball Podcast, as well as the GSMC Podcast Network. So the Podcast Network, they'll keep you up to date on everything going across all the shows within the network. There are 20, 30, 40 different shows that we have under our umbrella here. And, of course, The Baseball Podcast will keep you guys up to date, everything Major League Baseball, as well as I myself. I know I like to talk international, minor league baseball, college baseball, all across the board. Anything baseball, I want to keep you guys up to date on what's happening, what's taking place. So I certainly look forward to you guys checking us out there. But jumping into segment number 3 here, what are we talking about? Well, I'm staying with the holiday vibes here. I'm staying with the Christmas theme. And honestly, I'm going to go a little bit of an ugly sweater vibe here in segment number 3 because I did some research checking out the wackiest, weirdest, worst uniforms of all time. And there are quite a few out there that are certainly interesting to discuss. And for those of you listening on the phone now, you're certainly going to want to bring out that internet browser so you can type in some of these to Google and check them out. Because first I'm going to start independent league ball, then kind of work my way up to the minor league level, and then, of course, Major League Baseball. But we all know indie ball and minor league ball can get a little bit wacky when it comes to the uniforms here. But the worst of the worst, this one has to go, and starting out with indie ball, of course, but the Florence Freedom. They repped a dad bod jersey in honor of Father's Day a handful of years back, where literally the jersey, they did have the gray pants, so standard baseball pants, which is a win when it comes to some of these jerseys that I'm going to be talking about as I'm going to try to describe them to you guys so you can see them. And if you want to Google them, like I said, please do. But the dad bod jersey is essentially a topless male with a bigger belly and a hairy chest. You know, think about those beach T-shirts where people wear over the bathing suits, where it shows, you know, the chiseled chest or the nice female physique underneath. Well, these are the other side, right? These are essentially dad bods, worst of the worst here when it comes to the jersey here. So the Florence Freedom threw this out in honor of Father's Day. I believe it was 2019. This one took place. So not even long ago, but the Florence Freedom. Wow, you guys take the cake when it comes to ugly baseball sweaters, we'll call them here. So talking about the minor league system here now, these are a little bit all over the place, but certainly fascinating. One of the worst ones I have seen, and this one in regards to the pants, more so than the jersey, but the Eugene Emeralds, the minor league team in the Northwest League South for the minor league system. They put together basically a flannel shirt or a flannel jersey with a Rudolph on the top of it, or a reindeer, for lack of a better term here when it comes to the Christmas themes. And the pants themselves, though, were jean pants on baseball pants, right? So they were actually baseball pant material, but they looked like jeans and had waves and curves and fits and buttons, you know, all on the pants. So it looked like these guys were wearing a flannel shirt and jeans to play in this baseball game. So again, check out, let's see here, just so I get it right, the Eugene Emeralds were going to wear these jerseys, I believe, in 2015. So check that out on Google if you're looking to catch a glimpse of that, because, man, these pants may be the worst I think I've seen in the history of baseball. And there have been some bad ones. I mean, I wore red pants with a black stripe down the side of them for my Legion baseball team back in high school, and I think these pants somehow are worse than those. Even those as well had the fake buttons at the top, or the fake belt, you know, around it, but you had the string inside, and then the fake belts, you know, stitched into the outside, didn't even have the loops for a belt here. So I think this baseball uniform does keep the loop, so it looks like you're wearing a belt in your jeans for Eugene out there. But oh my goodness, what a fascinating jersey for them. Continuing down now, the Fresh Prince jersey that was run out by the State College Spikes. I don't know if State College is going to be around with this minor league reorg and everything going on, but they ran out a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air themed jersey for the Spikes, and man, it's just, it is loud and in your face and out there. So that's certainly one you're going to want to take a look at. But we have the Johnson City Cardinals, who threw out a Jurassic World jersey. They were the Jurassic City Cardinals, for a day, and their top, their jersey top essentially looks very similar to the famous Jurassic Park t-shirt, where the dinosaur is coming through, breaking through, and making his presence known. Well, in this jersey, that's exactly what he's doing. It's a gray and white background, and then a big T-Rex coming through with Jurassic City Cardinals on the front of it. So this one certainly looks like comic book style, cartoon style. So at least it's like, hey, minor league's trying to make a move, and not wear literally a flannel and jeans, and you're trying to disguise the fact that you're in a baseball jersey and not going to the bar here on Friday night. But we have the Richmond Flying Squirrels, who threw out a Jaws themed jersey. That's right, Jaws the shark. He is flying up on the top of the jersey from the belt area, but it says squirrels with a bite mark out of it instead of Jaws. So the Richmond Squirrels went with a Jaws theme. I'm not exactly sure why they did that. I guess, of course, the Jaws theme night at the minor league park. Why would you need any other reason to have a Jaws themed jersey? But who do we have here? We have the Fresno Grizzlies, who had a Gralifornia jersey, where the Fresno Grizzlies had a state flag representing California, kind of manifesting itself with a grizzly bear on it, but he is not so pleased, so that's why it is Gralifornia. He is angry. He's got a negative look on him coming at you here. I actually don't hate this as kind of a t-shirt logo or theme, but certainly on a baseball jersey, not exactly what you're looking for here. But if I could get one of these in a tee, I wouldn't hate that moving forward. A couple more here as we continue down, having some fun. The Arkansas Travelers turned into the USA Eagle jersey. They got a picture of an eagle's face front and center right on the chest. The two eyes would be on the pec side of thing and the beak coming right down the middle. Stars on one side, stripes on the other. So the American Eagle jersey, certainly one for the Arkansas Travelers. We also had, who is this one? I don't know who it was, but they had the Lando Calrissian jersey. So Lando from Star Wars, I believe it was here. You guys are going to hate me if I just screwed that one up, but Lando got himself on a Nationals jersey. That is just fascinating as well. This from 2015 as well. So 2015 certainly decided to have some fun here when it comes to the jerseys, and ultimately, man, that is good stuff. But that does it for the minor leagues. Next up, we have a jersey, an infamous jersey that I didn't know a lot about until I was doing some research. But the Mercury Mets jersey, there's an article out there. Was it the best or worst jersey ever? I mean, you had capped sleeves, Mercury Mets going down the chest. Of course, a Mercury logo, a planet graphic. It was silver and black, made by Russell. Earl Hershiser, has some pictures in it. And, people didn't know if they were being serious, but it was, part of the turn ahead the clock, not throw back, but throw forward. They did this once in the 90s. It was the Mets, as well as it looks like the Seattle Mariners. There's pictures on here that I was able to find of Alex Rodriguez and Ken Griffey Jr. wearing jerseys with just the huge Mariners logo on the chest. The names were underneath the numbers on the background, and the helmets were kind of sci-fi futuristic. And, of course, let's see here, 22 years later, jerseys look nothing like that. But, man, the Mariners had a futuristic jersey that they went with. The Pittsburgh Pirates had a futuristic jersey with just the huge logo of the pirate head on the chest. Of course, you get the Pirates across the chest, but this was just the head logo screaming at you front and center that they tried to use as spring forward. And it says on here, during the Mercury Mets game, they displayed players on the video board as aliens. Mike Piazza, Robin Ventura, green faces, horns, wacky haircut. So certainly an interesting sight to see. And I did not know a lot about the Mercury Mets in the uniform here until I did some research. But throw that one into Google. You'll find yourself having some fun for about 5 minutes trying to check out these uniforms here. But looking at major league level uniforms that were certainly wacky and weird, you have the Oakland A's. They're all yellows that they rocked. Throwbacks, it looks like they had them on in 2013. Straight yellow top, bottom, green long sleeve undershirts, looking like Elf from the Christmas holiday coming down here. Of course, they had the all greens as well to go against the all yellows. So they had a couple of interesting ones. It looks like here the Denver Bears at one point, they were infamous. Looking at some of the museums, they had a strike zone uniform, meaning that the top was white up until right through the letters, and then the rest of it was blue, and very similar on the waist down. So it basically showed the umpire, hey, here's the strike zone, right in the middle of the letters to right above the knee, and we're going to make our uniforms different colors so we can see when that white baseball crosses through the strike zone against that blue top, we're going to know that that should have been called a ball and not a strike by yourself, and you just missed one going on there. So that's a fascinating jersey to think about as well. You have the Dodgers, who rocked a satin blue uniform. Some throwbacks for them. It looks like they are in like pajamas, essentially, in these uniforms. They go way back, but there's a picture on Twitter I found from 2014 that shows them in quality, very good quality. But the one guy here made a joke, Elton John would have looked good in these because Harry Styles wore a costume very similar before Game 3 and got some publicity for posting some videos similar to what Elton did way back when. So it looked very similar to Elton and Harry Styles rocking the pastel with the suede here and the satin blue for the Dodgers. The San Francisco Giants, they rocked purple checks at one point back here. Orange and purple because the manager, this is back when they were in New York, wanted to devote the colors of NYU, which is violet and white. So they wanted to honor them for a day, and they ended up wearing purple. And apparently it's a bit much because there's some drawings here with the purple shorts, checkered jersey, some purple going on. It is just a lot for New York and what you're looking at here. Let's see, minor league level here again. The Grizzlies, they went with the tacos for one day. The Fresno Tacos, they got 6 different versions of that jersey here. That is just fascinating. Of course, the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs, they have their bacon jersey. I myself have a bacon hat for the Pigs. I think it's absolutely fantastic. It says Iron Pigs in the middle of the bacon that you can't see until you kind of dive in there deep and check things out. But that one's, certainly a stretch. But all uniforms, let's see here, alternate green for Notre Dame, the all green uniforms, the all orange uniforms for the Orioles back in the 70s that they recently rocked. Certainly a lot going on there. The Phillies throwbacks, powder blues, the all reds. The Pirates, all yellows, with the conductor hats, I like to call them, in the throwbacks. I can only imagine watching a throwback game, Pirates all yellow, Orioles all orange, and conductor hats going back and forth. It would just be, man, my eyes wouldn't even know how to handle that. So a lot going on there when it comes to that. But Google some of these, best jerseys out there. You're going to see quite a few from the Cubbies as well showing up here. It looks like a Tucson Toros jersey from 1980. It's certainly fantastic. It's got some orange, some green, some red, some brown, some gray. All of that's just in the jersey itself. So there's a lot of fun things happening out there. But I know myself, I rocked my ugly Christmas sweater during the holiday season. I had it on. Even though we weren't getting together with a lot of people, I decided to just have some fun, bring some joy, and rock an ugly Christmas sweater. So hopefully you guys did the same out there. You guys enjoyed this conversation about some of the worst uniforms in the history of baseball. But you're certainly going to want to check out Google and see some of these images for yourself. But that wraps things up here for segment number 3 of the GSMC Baseball Podcast. We'll step aside here one last time for a word from one of our sponsors and a word from our sister shows. But when we come back, we'll wrap things up. We'll touch base. We'll conclude today's episode talking a bit about the Hall of Fame, where we're at when it comes to that tracker and the updates. as well as touch on baseball in Hawaii and a few other odds and ends things. So stick around, everyone. We'll be right back.
Want to know the latest in soccer? Then listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast. From MLS, the World Cup, and the Premier League, we've got you covered. The latest updates, the hottest matches, and news on the league's top players. It's the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast.
David Beckham scores the goal to take England all the way to the World Cup finals.
Listen now.
Welcome back to the fourth and final segment of the GSMC Baseball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Kevin Mahalik. Thanks for listening, everyone. Brief change here for segment number 4. I want to talk to you guys. I want to give you an update on the minor league system. I know I talked to you guys a few weeks back, a few episodes back, kind of a bigger picture, what was happening, what was going on. Well, since that time, it's actually become public information where everybody is going to be in regards to their minor league affiliates. And this came out a couple of weeks back, but I feel like it got missed kind of in the shuffle of the world or in translation. So I just wanted to kind of read all of the new affiliates because even as a Phillies fan, there was some slight changes that I was not aware of. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go through the teams and read you guys AAA, AA, but I'm not going to read you the changes. Like for Baltimore, High A will now be Aberdeen, Maryland, which is up from short season A and things like that. So I'm just going to tell you it's Aberdeen, and Orioles fans listening out there, you guys will obviously be aware of the change that's taken place within your own organization. So for each kind of fan group out there, I do want to make you guys aware of kind of what's going on, but I'm not going to water down the segment for everybody else when it comes to kind of the changes and who went up, who went down. But there were a handful of changes. There are quite a few teams that were in affiliation that are no longer affiliated. There were some changes in regards to moving up or down the chain of command. A few independent teams will now be AAA organizations. Right there in Minnesota, St. Paul is now the AAA team for the Twins, and Rochester is now the AAA team for the Nationals. So there's a lot of changes going on. So I'm just going to read the list, and you guys as fans of your teams out there can kind of connect the dots and figure out ultimately what those changes were. But Baltimore, you will have AAA Norfolk, AA Bowie, High A Aberdeen, and Low A Delmarva for your 4 affiliations. The Red Sox will have AAA Worcester, let's see, AA Portland, High A Greenville, South Carolina, and Low A Salem, Virginia for the Red Sox. So they're still a little bit all over the place in regards to South Carolina and Virginia, a little spread out for them. And this is going through American League and then National League here as well, alphabetically. So just wanted to clarify that. But the White Sox, AAA Charlotte, AA Birmingham, High A Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and Low A Kannapolis, North Carolina. So the White Sox going to Alabama and North Carolina for their affiliations. The Indians, AAA Columbus, AA Akron, High A Lake County, Ohio, and Low A Lynchburg, Virginia for the Indians. So they stay mainly in Ohio there when it comes to their affiliations. The Tigers, AAA Toledo, AA Erie, Pennsylvania, High A West Michigan, and Low A Lakeland, Florida for the Detroit Tigers. And therefore, of course, Lakeland was their home down in Florida for quite some time, so that certainly makes sense for them. We have the Houston Astros, AAA Sugar Land, Texas. That's the one that went from independent ball to AAA, AA Corpus Christi, High A Asheville in North Carolina, and Low A Fayetteville in North Carolina for the Astros. Next up, we have the Royals, AAA Omaha, AA Northwest Arkansas, High A Quad Cities, Iowa, and Low A Columbia, South Carolina. So the Royals a bit all over the place there as well. You have the Angels, AAA Salt Lake City, AA Rocket City, Alabama. That's a long way from Alabama out to L.A. You have High A Tri-City, which is in Washington, and Low A Inland Empire, which is in California as well. So they stay relatively local except for the AA program for the Angels. For the Twins, we have AAA St. Paul. That's the other one from Independent Ball. AA Wichita, that is Kansas. High A Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And Low A Fort Myers, Florida, which is where their spring training facility is. The New York Yankees, they will go AAA Scranton Wilkes-Barre, AA Somerset, New Jersey, which was a previous independent ball league, High A Hudson Valley, and Low A Tampa. So it does seem to be that Low A will now be the spring training facilities as opposed to what used to be the High A level of spring training facilities. The Oakland Athletics, AAA Las Vegas, AA Midland, Texas, High A Lansing, Michigan, and Low A Stockton we have down there. So they're going Vegas, Texas, Michigan. So those guys still bouncing all around if you're the Oakland Athletics are coming up in that organization. The Seattle Mariners go AAA Tacoma, AA Arkansas, High A Everett, Washington, and Low A Modesto for their locations. Tampa Bay, AAA Durham, AA Montgomery, High A Bowling Green, and Low A Charleston, South Carolina. So Tampa Bay kind of keeping things local there. I enjoy that. Carolina, Alabama, Kentucky, a nice little kind of corridor there for the Rays. The Texas Rangers, they go AAA Round Rock, AA Frisco, High A Hickory, North Carolina, and Low A Down East, North Carolina for the Rangers. The Toronto Blue Jays, their AAA is Buffalo, AA New Hampshire, High A Vancouver, British Columbia, and Low A Dundon, Florida, which is where their facility is down there. Now transitioning here over to the National League. The Arizona Diamondbacks, AAA Reno, AA Amarillo, High A Hillsboro, Oregon, and Low A Visalia, California. So let's see here, going from Cali to Oregon to Texas, if you're coming up through the Diamondbacks organization. The Atlanta Braves have AAA Gwinnett County, Georgia, AA Mississippi, High A Rome, Georgia, and Low A Augusta, Georgia. So Atlanta, the Braves organization, very centered in the state of Georgia down there, which is very well done for them. The Chicago Cubs go to AAA Iowa, AA Tennessee, High A South Bend, Indiana, and Low A Myrtle Beach. So the Cubbies a little bit all over the place when it comes to their affiliations in the future. The Cincinnati Reds, AAA Louisville, AA Chattanooga, High A Dayton, Ohio, and Low A Daytona, Florida. So those guys bouncing all around for Cincinnati, certainly trying to connect the dots here. The Rockies, AAA Albuquerque, AA Hartford, High A Spokane, Washington, and Low A Fresno, California. Now, Fresno could potentially not accept this bid because Fresno was previously a AAA level program and has since been replaced due to the two independent ball teams getting invites. So it is TBD as to whether or not Fresno will accept their demotion or they think that they will be able to, get more money on the independent ball circuit side of things. The LA Dodgers, AAA Oklahoma City, AA Tulsa, High A Great Lakes, Michigan, and Low A Rancho Cucamonga, California. So the Dodgers Low A team is local, but the rest of the guys are all over the place. So very fascinating to kind of see the Dodgers and what's going on there. The Miami Marlins, AAA Jacksonville, AA Pensacola, High A Beloit, Wisconsin, and Low A Jupiter, Florida. So Jacksonville, Pensacola, and then randomly High A up in Wisconsin after Low A was back down in Florida. So Miami and the Marlins kind of taking things all over the place. The Brewers, they go AAA Nashville, AA Biloxi, Mississippi, High A Wisconsin, and Low A Carolina is what we have here. So Milwaukee going from Mississippi to Nashville to Milwaukee. The New York Mets AAA Syracuse. That's Rochester, New York. They took that one from the Twins. They recently had Las Vegas for the Mets, so they will now be in Syracuse, which certainly makes a ton of sense. AA Binghamton, New York. High A Brooklyn, New York. And Low A St. Lucie, Florida. So Low A is where spring training, the rest of your program is in the state of New York, and things certainly make more sense here if you're a Mets fan moving forward. The Philadelphia Phillies, they kept AAA in Lehigh Valley. They have AA in Reading, Pennsylvania. High A is now the Jersey Shore, which I believe was their Low A affiliate a year ago. And Low A is now Clearwater, which was previously High A. So they were one of the few teams that actually had their pillar kind of set up for success prior to this rearrangement or re-agreements here. So the Phillies kind of stay with the status quo. The Pittsburgh Pirates, AAA Indianapolis, AA Altoona, Pennsylvania, High A Greensboro, North Carolina, and Low A Bradenton, Florida. So the Pirates stick with Indianapolis and Altoona going down their minor league path here. A few more teams here. Let's go as we finish things up. The Padres, AAA El Paso, Texas, AA San Antonio, Texas, High A Fort Wayne, Indiana, and Low A Lake Elsinore, California. So the Padres start in California, then go to Fort Wayne, Indiana, then down to Texas before you hop on over back to San Diego to get your chance up here in the show. Rounding out the league, let's see. The Giants, AAA Sacramento, AA Richmond, Virginia, and High A Eugene, Oregon. Low A San Jose, California. So AA Richmond must have been one of the lower tier guys picked here because San Jose, Oregon, Sacramento, and then AA Richmond. So if you're in the Giants organization, you're going to want to get out of that AA level as quick as possible and get to AAA because being called up from AA isn't going to make much logistical sense coming from Virginia all the way over to San Francisco. The St. Louis Cardinals, they have AAA Memphis, AA Springfield, Missouri, High A Peoria, Illinois, and Low A Palm Beach, Florida. That is where their spring training facility is. And then the Washington Nationals, they go AAA Rochester. So the Nationals took the Twins AAA Rochester. AAA Syracuse for the Mets, that's always been their AAA. So I apologize for mistaking that one. But the Nationals took Rochester from the Twins. They also stayed with AA Harrisburg in Pennsylvania, a High A team in Wilmington, Delaware, and a Low A team in Fredericksburg, Virginia. So, of course, there are upwards of 40, almost 50 teams that don't find themselves currently with affiliated baseball, or 25 teams find themselves with any sort of baseball affiliation because there have been 2 to 3 kind of smaller independent leagues that have manifested themselves. One of them locally up here, kind of in the Jersey, New York, Philadelphia, Delaware area, where a lot of local teams who no longer have affiliation are putting together kind of like a wood bat league, so to speak, to kind of keep things going and continue to make money. But it'll be fascinating to see ultimately how these things work out. But I do think for the most part, 95% certain these are set in stone with only a handful of changes yet to be made to the entire minor league kind of structure or organization there. But that does it for our minor league talk here for the last couple of minutes. I want to give you guys an update on the Hall of Fame ballots. Here we are as of December 27th, time of recording. We're up to only 18% of ballots known. I know that is an increase since we last spoke, but it's upwards of just about 63 ballots that are now public and known out there. And Kurt Schilling currently at 74.6%. You guys know out there you need 75 to reach the Hall, so I do think he has a good chance here to ultimately eclipse that mark and get in, like we spoke about in detail in the previous episode. And then Bonds and Clemens continue to remain steady at 68.7%. which I think is a continued increase over their past and a projection into the right direction where ultimately I think those two do get in when it comes to their 10th and final ballot. And, the voters are just going to make them sweat it out for their full, possible waiting time. But that'll do it for this episode of the GSMC Baseball Podcast. once again, I just want to thank you guys for listening. December 28th here, the Christmas holiday was last week. A lot of people are celebrating in a ton of different ways, so I just want to give a shout out to the kids out there who maybe couldn't celebrate Christmas morning. You celebrate later in the day if you're traveling, seeing family, or if you celebrate the 28th or 29th. You know, myself, my family, we lived in Texas for a few years. We would always come back to Pennsylvania and spend Christmas and Christmas Eve with family since we were kind of the only ones not in the area. But because of that, as an 8-year-old kid, that meant I had to wait to get my Christmas morning until the 27th, when we would travel back after seeing all of our friends and family. So I know there's kids out there. I know there's family situations where maybe you haven't opened your gifts yet and you're going to here in the next day or two, whether you went to Disney World or you're on vacation, whatever the circumstance is. You know, Merry Christmas to everybody listening out there. Happy holidays, of course. I wish everybody a Happy New Year. Like I said, there will not be an episode this Thursday for you guys just due to the holiday. Kind of regrouping, taking some time off. GSMC certainly allowing us to enjoy the holidays. But we'll be back, normal schedule, coming at you full steam ahead, 2021, a week from today, next Monday. Let's see here, what is that, January 4th, it looks like on the calendar. We'll be back ready to rock and roll and get you guys full steam ahead, like I said, into 2021. But thanks for listening, everyone. Check us out on social media. Please rate and review the podcast. Click subscribe, like us. I certainly appreciate it. But I'm your host, Kevin Mahalik. Thanks for listening again, everybody. Enjoy your weekend. Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, and Happy Holidays.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.